Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. It has been a long time no see. We're gonna do a little food plot update today. So right now we're on a plot we call Vegas because it's super sandy, if you can see right here. Pretty much beach sand, and we're trying to get lucky. So that's kudos to Dad for coming up with that name, but we call this plot Vegas. It's got a little big sexy field that we just planted here. It's got some clover in the back, and mainly it's just beans. So this is about probably, I would love to say 3/4 of an acre, but I think it's probably closer to a half acre of soybeans. So just trying to be honest. So it's not much beans, but there's a lot of pods on here coming, a lot of flowers coming. So I think we'll be all right. And you know, most beans get brown around, you know, beginning of September. And these we planted July 4th, and they're forage bean. They're Eagle Seed pod havens, and they're coming in great. So they're gonna grow all the way through almost till October, because September's still a pretty warm month. But yeah, this is the bean plot. We're starting here, and we got a big box blind right in front of me here. So I'm gonna transition over to the big sexy right over next to me, and I'll show you the progression, I guess. So here's the big sexy field. We got a little clover strip on the edge going to clover under that tree. Sorry for the sun glare, but the big sexy is coming up. You can see it right here. Beans are looking good. The beans are fenced in, so we should be ready to rip in for late season. Sorry to interrupt the video, but this video is brought to you by Painted Arrow. Painted Arrow makes a product called the Mag Pro Plus, and this is a bracket that goes simply on your stabilizer, connects a magnet to your phone case, and it is the easiest way to self-film. Go to paintedarrow.com and get your guys yourself something to start filming today. All right, so in front of me is the beans and the big sexy right here. And now we're gonna go back into the woods and find ourselves a little horseshoe wood plot. So we'll go take a look in there. All right, so behind me in that opening is gonna be the horseshoe wood plot. So you can see we had a tree fall right in the middle. That's kind of dumb, but we got this planted in domain bombshell and hot chick. So it's gonna be clover, chicory, and Ethiopian cabbage, forage collards, and a forage turnip. So you can see it's coming up real well. I just planted this here about a week ago, and there's a lot of green coming. So the reason I went with bombshell and hot chicken here is because we are actually in the middle of our swamp. It's the high spot. So we got in here, luckily we could plant it. And I'm planting that so I don't have any bulbs, because with all the moisture in the ground, you can see how damp. It looks sandy, but it's still super wet below. And it's just hard to have bulbs in a moist environment. So that's why we went with bombshell here. Now we're gonna go back out this way. We were that way. Now we're gonna go up this way to a soybean field, and soybean plot, and domain illicit, which is straight radish. So let's go over there and take a look at it. Right behind me on this power line coming off the bean field, we have this illicit plot, and this is gonna be absolute money. It's a little damper in here. You can see it's kind of leading. Here, let's get the camera to focus. It's kind of leading into the swamp behind me. We were just in here with the wood plot. So it's a pretty sweet spot. We got a ladder stand up right behind me, and it also comes out into the big, another 1 acre soybean field right behind me there. So it's pretty sweet. One thing I'm trying this year is licking branches on a cedar post. So I've never tried this in the past. I've always done the mock scrapes or the vines, but I'm kind of curious because a lot of people believe in them, and I think you're supposed to put like a white oak branch on them, and this is not a white oak. I don't know. Here, I'll show you. So right here is the licking branch. Let's get it focused. So I don't know what kind of leaves these were. It was an oak tree, but they just crinkled up like crazy. So I'll be curious if the deer play with this. They might. But on a cedar post, and hopefully it'll grow. These radishes are looking fantastic. And it leads right out to a bean field, and that's actually right there a road. But that road only has the mailman on it because we're at the dead end of the road, so it's pretty quiet. Yeah, the plot does feed up this way. Here, let me get over here. So you can see right there, it kind of does this little shape. And the fenced in beans we planted July 4th, these were getting pounded by deer. So I got the fence up. Hopefully it's not too late. Being a forage bean, I think they'll be all right, but let's go up into those beans and kind of check them out. So you can see all the graze pressure on the soybeans. They're getting like stemmy looking, but they also have a ton of leaves on them yet. not a ton, but they have enough. We got quite a bit of volunteer corn too. But if you look right here, I mean, they're getting pounded. But you know, all you need is these flowers to make pods, and pods make food. So if anything, we have a little bit of early season food. But I do wish that the beans were not getting pounded this bad. That's all right. That's what they're here for. All right, so on the high side of this bean field, we have a little food plot right here, right next to the road. Let's go up there and check it out. It is planted in domain Hall Pass. Behind me here is Hall Pass. Sorry, the lens I'm using is so zoomed in. You can see a little bit of rye coming up in the middle, a little bit of rye and wheat is coming up on the edge. There's some radish in here. You can see the radish coming up. You can see, I believe that's probably a purple top turnip. There's also some clovers in this, but the reason I planted this right here is because this is gonna be corn next year right up against the road here. And I wanna protect it down there. That's why I'm gonna use corn, kind of like a screen almost. But also I just wanted to plant it so it didn't look like that, just weeds. So then I can no-till corn into this next spring. It'll be super easy to kill it off, and it's already worked up and ready to go. So you can see with it being so sandy out here, next year I'm gonna try to primarily no-till everything besides my fall crop, which is like my brassicas. Reason being is because I'm gonna try to build this organic matter, and in the fall here I'm gonna come in and overseed winter rye, and hopefully I can show all of you guys this, but the progression throughout the years. But this soil is super crappy. I think I started with a 5.0 for pH, and that backfield where the beans, the first field that I started on, which we call Vegas, that we're up to like 6.2 now, and I don't know why I'm saying we, but I'm up to 6.2. Yeah, I put in a lot of work here, and I think my family knows it because I'm here messing around more than I'm at home. But yeah, this bean field too, we're calling the power plot, so that's on the other side of that illicit plot that I was just showing you. But those beans are getting pounded. Hopefully they make it through, but we'll oversee that in winter rye, so there'll be plenty of grain too for the deer to mow on. So now let's go to the plot we call Smoke and Dust. It was a pasture field, and when my dad was growing up here, the first horses were called Smoky and Dusty, so that's why we named it the Smoke and Dust plot. And let's go up there and take a look at what I did. Just coming up on the barn here, I did put in some corn, and this was my best corn yet this year. Again, the soil's super crappy, and according to that, the soil looks super good. But you can see it below my feet, it's just sand. I don't know, I just put a ton of fertilizer on it, and she's like 10 foot tall down there. Let's go peek at it. Alright, I don't have my tripod with me, but I think you can see me. These cobs are like titty high on me, like titty shoulder high. They're pretty crazy. I mean, can't reach the top, so it's pretty good corn. Okay, we're behind the barn right now. We're gonna go this way. It's still right next to the barn here, but this is another food plot now, and it has corn, soybeans that failed, and some green machine. So let's check on it. Here we are. This is the corn and bean plot where it's tilled, it's green machine, and it's slowly starting to pop up. So right behind me here is the corn, and actually the barn is right here. So this is the corn that I was just in behind the barn, and right next to it we have a little test strip for domain. We're testing some seed, so I'll keep you updated on it. I can't show too much, but it is a pretty sweet mix, and it's going to be coming to you hopefully 2024. But anyway, we're going to check out this right here, and then we'll go to the next plot. Alright, so I'm in the green machine now here, and you can see super sandy. That's why I went with green machine. Green machine does the best in sand. The radish and the rye, it just thrives in this environment. But check that out. You can see all the rye and the baby radish is coming up. And I did mix this with Smackdown so I can get a little bit more bulbs with that purple top turnip. So we do have some Smackdown coming in here too. Pretty sweet. Let's go check out these beans over here and what happened to them. So here's some soybeans. They are sprayed off, which, well, the beans won't be sprayed off, but all the weeds I just sprayed when I planted all the brassicas. So you can tell there's not a lot of beans right here, and they're very, very nipped. The reason being is this is not fenced in, so the deer have free range to these, which is on purpose. Give them something to eat throughout the summer because I can't keep everything fenced in. But they're starting to gnaw on the corn too. You can see some cobs are destroyed, but otherwise, what I did with this is I overseeded Hall Pass. So here at Domain, we actually like scripted the mix hall pass for overseeding into standing beans and standing corn. So the hall pass, here, let me find right in front of me here. You can see the hall pass is coming up right here. That's what it's going to look like in this early stage. It's got that wheat, it's got that rye, it's got miscellaneous brassicas, and it's got some clover in here too, but not much, just a couple, 2-3% of it. So in about 2 weeks, this will all look like pretty much winter rye and brassicas, which is sweet. And yeah, it should be a damn good field. We got right next to the barn, we have, here's the barn, here's the shed, here's our box blind platform, and we can shoot all of this, which will be sweet. So I wish I had like a, I think everybody wishes they had like a stellar property, and unfortunately, like my box blind being right next to the barn, it is what it is. I'm going to use what I have, and I'm trying to make the best of it. So just trying to stay positive. I mean, yeah, you can stare at a barn, but the deer have, that barn's been here for 50 years, so the deer don't care. But yeah, they're definitely going to be hammering this plot. So now we're going to transition to the edge of this plot. I got a last year's Sugar Mama plot that turned into a clover and chicory plot this spring, and it looks money besides the grass. So we'll bounce over there. I'll show you what we're working with over there. All right, so here's last year's Sugar Mama plot. You can see all the clover in here, fixating a bunch of nitrogen, and I decided to leave it this year because that chicory is tough to beat, and the deer absolutely love it, and the clover as well. But you can see I'm right on the edge of the beans here. And this was last year's Sugar Mama plot, and it looks awesome. I'm gonna come in here and spray clethodim, which is grass out, and that will take care of all of the grass in the plot, and it'll just look like a lush clover plot. I think that stand behind me has been there for 3 or 4 years, and I think I've set it twice. And I've seen one deer, and that was mid-rut when this field was not even a food plot. And yeah, I haven't set it since, so I'm hoping to sit it this year. But moving on from last year's Sugar Mama plot, that basically is now a hot chick plot, because you got clover and chicory, we're going to dump into the swamp here. So we were way over there on the Vegas plot. This is a smoke and dust plot. We're now moving into the swamp plot, and it's super wet. We just got rain actually. Let's go in there and examine it. That was planted a couple weeks ago, so it actually looks pretty mint right now. So yeah, look at how wet it is, and now look at how good this food plot is doing. Whew. Shoo-wee. Man, it looks just money. Absolutely money. You can see all the clover coming up with the bombshell and the brassicas. I mean, golly. And look at, you can see they're browsing on it, they're enjoying it. Man alive. And we got a rubbing post in this plot, so she's bound to kill a big one. So let me talk you through the process of this plot. We came in here this year. It was a super dry year here in Wisconsin. We came in here, weed whacked it, and then I sprayed it off with a backpack sprayer, I believe, if I remember right. And so it was all dead. And luckily, right before we started getting all this rain recently, we've got like 8 inches in the past like month. But right before that, we had like an inch a month. It was super dry in here. So I came in here and tilled it, perfect timing, planted it, and it actually poured that day. So this plot got a super good jump start. But boy, oh boy, this is just gonna be a perfect little wood plot. That's gonna lead out to the smoke and dust plot, which you can actually see through the gap right here. That's a smoke and dust plot. That's a corn and the field beans that I was just in. And in here is a perfect little kill plot. We actually have a stand hung in this tree right here. Hard to see. It's an XOP Vanish facing this way, so I can sit off my stand and shoot to the right at that rubbing post. But yeah, it's pretty badass in here. I'm gonna take some pictures for work, and then we'll move on to the next plot. The last food plot we got here, I got Incognito on my left and a food plot on my right. So I'll show you what we got going on in this plot. This one we call the Tomcat plot because we actually have a road right here. Again, there's my car. Super quiet road. So I planted this incog just to kind of create some protection, and we have a little food plot right here. Any food is good food, that's for sure. But I believe we planted this in Green Machine and Hot Chick, and it is sandier here than the whole farm on this particular half. And you can see the radishes are coming up. A pea from Green Machine right there, along with some rye, it's gonna be just fine. You can see the incognito, it took about a month to germinate. I don't know if this stuff in front will make it, but there's stuff back there and right here will be just fine. It'll grow up 3, 4, 5 feet. And I gotta stand right here. So it kind of sucks being this close to the road, but like I said earlier, you gotta be grateful with what you got. It's not ideal, but some guys are hunting public, and I'm happy to say I'm not hunting public. So yeah, we're next to the road, but we gonna be a kick-ass food plot here. And here, I'll show you kind of what it leads into. So behind me is where I just was, and then it leads this trail out into, not even a 1/4 acre, probably just like a 1/5 acre food plot. That's still Green Machine and Hot Chick, and it's kind of got like a little bay right here, and the stand is right there, just perfect. But you can see this Green Machine is coming up. It's doing its job. Big radishes. I am looking forward to see what this can do. You can kind of see this wild ragweed. It took over a little bit of the incognito, but it's actually doing a damn good job on screening it off from the road. I mean, this stuff's 5 feet tall. So I think we'll be pretty safe here, saying this is a secluded little food plot. Let's go over there and check out some of that incognito. Alright, so you can see this incognito right here behind me. We're probably looking at about just 5 feet tall. It's pretty weedy underneath. That's due to, this took a month to germinate because we got absolutely zero rain in a month, and it just didn't germinate. It's too sandy to germinate off of dew here, unfortunately, but it did germinate and it's coming up good. I just side dressed it with some urea to kind of give it a jump start, and man, it's putting on inches. It's getting taller and taller every day, believe it or not. But it's gonna, I mean, you can see that old road right there. Can't even tell there's a food plot in there, which is exactly what I wanted. It is perfect. And there's a lot of deer. Some guy's got a 10-acre food plot over there. There's a lot of deer that come back and forth on this north end of our property, and that's where we're at. So will I hunt this stand? I don't know, hopefully. All right, so I think that's gonna wrap it up for the weekly Whitetail Way. Food plots are looking good. They're all germinating. I'm gonna update you, well, weekly Whitetail Way, I'm gonna update you in a week, and we'll see what these food plots look like. Hopefully they start taking off here. But until then, I'm going to go back to the house. I'm actually going to a little football game tonight, a little Packer game, preseason. So hopefully Jordan Love plays, but we'll see. All right, fellas, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully these plots look kick-ass here in a couple weeks.